People have been searching for ways to extend their lifespan since the dawn of existence, and to our credit we've made a lot of progress. Our modern advances in science have helped us extend the length of our lives by decades. In the Middle Ages you'd be lucky to live to 40, while for many people today 90 or even 100 isn't out of the question. If we continue on this track, who knows what the distant future holds. One man not only figured out the secret to a long life, he might also have been the oldest person to ever live. According to the World Health Organization, Japan and Switzerland are the leading countries in lifetime expectancy for both males and females, with an average of 83.5 years. The longest human lifespan officially recorded comes from the south of France, a woman named Jean-Louise Calment, who lived way past any average life expectancy to reach 122 years. There is also, however, the story of a Chinese man, who, although it's not confirmed, is believed to have somehow managed to live for an incredible 2.5 centuries. The man's name is Ching-Yuen, and the secret to his long life was reportedly his long hours of meditation, his special diet and the peaceful life he led in his homeland where he collected and studied herbs. Most of all, it's believed it was due to the strict discipline he employed and the manner in which he went about using his discipline. According to the legends and rumours from Li's neighbourhood, he was educated, well-read and fascinated with herbs from a young age, going as far as Tibet to collect them. This fascination led him to discover specific herbs to develop an extremely healthy diet, with only green leaves, berries and wine rice on the menu in order to prolong his life. Thus, while on this spiritual journey, Li learned from wiser men that one's state of mind plays a large role in the quality as well as the length of one's life, and taking their advice he meditated every single day. He would sometimes meditate for hours, getting up with the sun and ending the day when the sun set, while all the time practicing holistic breathing exercises and special martial arts. His diet supplemented his style of living, believing that doing so one could live at least a century by attaining inner calmness. A professor from Chengdu University presented a case of a man with the same name and almost identical story, who remarkably reached his 200th birthday after all. Not only that, but according to Professor Wu Chongqing, this man was actually born in 1677, so when he died he was already 256 years old. He revealed the case to the public 3 years prior to the article in the New York Times. This man was Li Ching-Yuen, for whom he found records in which the imperial government of the Qing dynasty praises him for the immense contribution to China, and sending best regards for his 150th birthday in 1827, and for his 200th in 1877. When asked about the secret to his long life, Li had this to say: "Keep a quiet heart. Sit like a tortoise, walk sprightly like a pigeon, and sleep like a dog." These are the words of wisdom from a man who clearly was living his life to the fullest extent. Basically, Li was telling us to take care of ourselves, and try not let stress come between us and a long rich life. It sounds easy when you hear it in words, but the truth is it takes time to master. It's unlikely anyone will know exactly how old Li Ching-Yuen was at the time of his death. He may have been remarkably old, possibly even older than the longest confirmed human lifespan of 122 years. However, it's highly improbable that he managed to exceed this milestone by as much as 60 to 110%. Skeptics believe that any documentation or personal files supporting these claims are false, while others believe that Li Ching-Yuen was the oldest living human to inhabit this planet. But I'm interested in your theories. Do you think that Li Ching-Yuen lived to be 256 years old? Let me know your theories in the comments.
Hey guys, it's Mike Chen. If you research this topic, there are a lot of reports from around the world of who is the oldest person to ever live. There's the 131-year-old dad of 3 from Brazil. There's reports of a farmer and a community elder who's said to be 160 years old in Ethiopia. But none of them comes close to Li Ching-Yuen, who lived to be 256. According to his obituary titled Tortoise Pigeon Dog, published in 1933 in the New York Times and Time magazine, Li Ching-Yuen said he was born in 1736. But records were found by Professor Wu Chong-chen of Minkuo University showing Li was actually born in 1677 in Qinjiang-xian in Sichuan Province, China. And there were even congratulatory letters from the Imperial Chinese government wishing him well on his 150th and 200th birthdays. Li was a doctor specializing in herbs. He was also a Qigong master and a tactical consultant. There's not much information about the earlier years of his life, but reportedly, Li was a child prodigy and an avid traveler who had already trekked to Manchuria, Thailand, and Tibet in his search for herbs by the time he was 10 years old. Li worked with herbs, searched for them, and sold them for the next 100 years of his life. Isn't it great to have a career change at the age of 100 and still have more than half of your life left? In regards to his personal life, Li was said to have married 24 times and outlived 23 of his wives. Another report says that at the time of his death, Li had 180 living descendants spanning 11 generations. So what is his secret to a long life? Li once told Wu Peifu, a Chinese warlord, that his secret of longevity is, get ready for this, keep a quiet heart, sit like a tortoise, walk sprightly like a pigeon, and sleep like a dog. That's kind of different from how I do things. I tend to sleep like a tortoise and eat like a dog. Anyway, Li's daily life was fairly simple. He did not drink hard liquor, he did not smoke, and he ate his meals at set times. He was a vegetarian and frequently drank goji berry tea. He went to bed early and got up early. He meditated daily, which is something he supposedly learned from Taoist priests he had once met. Li was also a very kind and generous individual. It was said that in his spare time he liked to play cards, but would often lose on purpose, but just enough to pay his opponents meals for that day. Because of this, he was very well liked. So there you go, guys. If you want to live a long time, remember to stock up on those goji berries.
The 10 oldest people ever. Number 10. Gladys Hooper was born January 18, 1903. Gladys Hooper is the oldest living person in the United Kingdom. She was born in Dulwich, South London. Gladys Hooper met Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb, and went to school with Amy Johnson, the first person to fly from England to Australia. Gladys Hooper was also a pianist and played with famous artists. She had one child named Derek, who followed in her footsteps into becoming a pilot. She was a pilot during the First World War. Number 9. Goldie Mickelson was born August 8, 1902. She is 113 years old. Her family immigrated to Worcester, Massachusetts when she was at the age of 2 from Russia. Goldie attended Pembroke College and graduated with a sociology degree in 1924. Pembroke is now a part of Brown University. She married a real estate developer named David Mickelson. They ended up having one daughter named Renee. She had a love for theatre and has a passion for walking. She walks up to 5 miles every morning. Number 8. Nabi Tajima is the 4th oldest Japanese person ever recorded. He was born on August 4th, 1900. Tajimi was born in Araki, which is part of the Kikajima Island, and still resides there. She had 9 children and over 140 descendants, including great-great-great-grandchildren. Number 7. Violet Brown. Violet Brown is the 2nd oldest living person in the world at 116. She is Jamaican and the last living person to exceed Queen Victoria. She was one of 4 children. She was born to John Moss, who was a sugar boiler, and Elizabeth Riley. She was baptized by the church at the age of 13. Violet Brown married Augustus Gaynor Brown and had 1 daughter. Number 6. Yasu Taro. Yasu Taro was born March 13th, 1903. Yasu Taro was born in the year that the Wright brothers created the first airplane and the year the Tour de France cycling started to take place. He worked as a tailor for men's clothing in Suruga, Fuki. He eventually moved to Nagoya, Aichi, Japan, when he was much older so that he could be closer to his daughter. In his eyes, the key to living a long life is to not overdo things, and he passed away on January 19th, 2016. Number 5. Jiroemon Kimura. Jiroemon was born on April 19, 1897, the year that Queen Victoria reigned the British Empire. Kimura was very grateful to miss childhood killers such as tuberculosis and pneumonia, which is what caused the life expectancy of that era to be at the relatively low age of 44. He became the world's oldest man in history on December 28, 2012. He was at the age of 115 years old. Jiroemon was admitted for pneumonia before passing away June 12, 2013. Number 4. Susanna Mushat Jones. Susanna Mushat Jones lived to be 116 years old. She died in Brooklyn, New York on May 12, 2016. Her daily breakfast regime was bacon, eggs, and grits. Along with this breakfast, her solution to living longer was lots of sleep. She lived across 3 centuries and was born in a small farm town in Montgomery, Alabama in July 1899. She moved to New York earning $7 a week as a childcare provider and a housekeeper for wealthy families. Susanna wanted to become a teacher and was accepted into the Tuskegee Institute's teachers program, but her family at the time could not afford the tuition for the schools. She was also the co-founder of a scholarship fund for African American women to go to college. Her key to living long was to never drink or smoke. She would surround herself with love and positive energy, which is the secret to leading a long life of happiness. Number 3. Emma Murano. Emma Murano, born November 29, 1899, is the last living woman from her time period and the current oldest woman in the world. She is 116 years old. In 1938, her marriage abruptly ended following the death of their infant son. She also has a lot of longevity genetics that most likely came into play. Murano worked in factories making jute bags and then eventually worked at a hotel. She was still working past retirement age. Her diet consisted of 2 raw eggs a day and 100 grams of steak each day. She was suggested that diet decades ago to counteract anemia. She enjoys homemade applesauce and now lives in a 1-bedroom apartment in Verbania. She has a caregiver and 2 nieces that visit her daily. Number 2. Li Ching-Yuen. The oldest man in the world is 256 years old. Li Ching-Yuen started his herbalist career at 10 years old. He would gather herbs in the mountain ranges. At the age of 71, he joined Chinese armies as a teacher for martial arts. He married 23 times and fathered over 200 children. The calm and peace of mind with breathing techniques were his secret to longevity. And now for number 1. But first, be sure to subscribe for new videos every day. Number 1. Jean-Louise Clemente. Jean-Louise Clemente was born in Arles, France on February 21, 1875. She eventually passed away on August 4, 1997. She was born the year before Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. She witnessed the airplane and the cinema in her lifetime. She was lucky enough to meet Vincent van Gogh at the age of 13. Apparently, Jean Clemente was not impressed by him at all. At the age of 121 years old, she released 2 CDs titled Time's Mistress, and at least 5 of her books have been released. Her husband was killed in 1942 at the age of 46 due to spoiled preserved cherries. Her husband and cousin were store owners, allowing her to live a happy life with ease. She rode bicycles until she was 100 years old and even started taking fencing lessons at 85. She eventually quit smoking at the age of 119 because her doctors were worried that she was too blind to light up a cigarette all by herself.
Now, here's what's next. Click to